You guys ready for the mailbag?
One thou wow boom.
What first is from Jason Topete, and the subject is Heat with Eric Bischoff and Chronic. Big fan of the podcast. Hey, Konnan. In a shoot interview, Brian Clark said in a meeting between Eric and the boys, Eric asked if you don't like your situation, you could walk. Apparently, word got out that you were griping about some issues and Bischoff didn't like it. In a separate interview, Raven said he was in the same meeting and was given the same option as you, but he left. He said you didn't because 15 other Mexicans would have been out of a job. If the latter is true, both you and Raven are stand-up dudes. Raven for telling the truth while others are talking shit about you, and actually knowing the situation, and you for taking it on the chin for the sake of the Mexican boys. Anyway, it's an interesting story, so please elaborate.
You were there at the meeting, right?
I was there. Yeah, everybody's there. Everybody that worked at WCW that day was in that meeting. Right? So everybody remembers what happened here. I will say this. Yeah. I didn't, maybe this was this is an interesting strategic move by Bischoff.
But this was DDP's idea, right? He's the one that told Bischoff. Right, he's the one that told Bischoff, if they keep bitching, call them out.
Right. So that's his case. So you guys were there was an issue with you guys calling the company out publicly.
Yeah, USA Today, right?
So their response was, okay, I'm going to get them all together in a meeting. I'm going to call them out publicly with the boys.
Right.
Which in retrospect, probably two wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like Eric should have basically, if this should have been a closed door meeting with you and him.
Right.
No, not like calling you out from which you're, but basically he could have said.
Because he called us out by name.
Right. But just put you guys right on the spot. And Raven was sitting down on the floor as he always does. Like he was Isn't it funny how Raven in the meeting was in gimmick? Remember, like his character would always sit in the corner.
Yeah.
Raven, like a lot of us were standing. Raven was like sitting down in gimmick on the floor, right? Yeah. And he just got up and walked out.
Raven was hilarious. So I'll give you the backstory, and then we'll get right to this. So around that time, I was sick and tired of WCW's bullshit. We kept hitting a ceiling. All the mid-carders, we were the ones that were always on the road, giving the best matches, but we never got any love. We never got any rub, even though I was with NWO for a while. But, even that, they were trying to find ways to kick me out of that. So basically, there had been a match, and I don't know if Disco was in it or not, but I know for sure, and I think Disco was, but I know for sure Ray was in it, Juventud was in it, and they were in a house show somewhere, and I guess they had problems with Chronic that didn't want to sell for them, and so I got really pissed off, and so they brought me in as commentator. I was hurt at that time, so I couldn't wrestle. So I think Madden was with me that time, and I just destroyed Chronic on the fucking, on the thing. They were like, "Yo, what do you think about Chronic?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, they're pretty tall and they have nice tans. Is that all?" Yeah, that's basically it. They can't do anything else, And so I was bearing them, but I'm also like a heel. And they came backstage, both of them, and they both wanted to fight me. And they were like, "Yeah, we got calls from WWE and we got calls from our wives that you were bearing us." I go, "Well, that's, what am I supposed to do? Put you over?" And so anyways, at that time, I also did an interview for USA Today, and I just buried WCW. I was like, "Yeah, you got all these dinosaurs on top that aren't letting us guys on the bottom, And then I'll never forget it. When I got there, it was the Superdome. I think it was a Superdome in New Orleans. I remember because Eric and Nash, who now Nash was the booker, were in some sort of a golf cart. And they were like, "Yeah, we read what you put in USA Today. Are you going to try to tell us that was a misquote?" At that time, I was so pissed I didn't give a fuck. No, there was no misquote. What you read is what I said. And they were like, "Well, just so you know, you have heat in the dressing room. You shouldn't go in the dressing room because the boys want to kick your ass for that." And I was like, I've been in the dressing room for like the last 2 hours. Nobody's told me anything about anything. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And Nash was like, "Yeah, you're a cancer." And I go, "No, you're a fucking cancer." And we kind of got into it. And they were like, "Well, go see J.J. Dillon." I went to see J.J. Dillon. He suspended me. So when I came back, I was even more pissed. And so they had a meeting. And I remember Eric goes, yeah, we're having all these problems. He goes, Raven, you're always complaining. He goes, there's a lawyer on the other side of the door. And if you want to leave, you can leave. He goes, where's the lawyer? Just like that. And he goes, behind that door. He got up and he left.
I remember, sorry to interject real quick. In his version, I think he said he had been up for like 2 or 3 days just constantly, like he was taking E and he would never stop rolling because as soon as he started to lose it, he would take another for like 2 or 3 days before the meeting. So
I'm sure that happened. He's the first guy that ever gave me E without telling me what the fuck it was.
Who?
And Raven.
Raven, yeah.
And it was in Orlando where we used to go, that fucking 8-track thing.
Damn.
Yeah.
And I just remember melting and going, what the fuck? I thought he gave me like a pain pill. And I was like, wow. I felt like a candle had melted on the fucking street and I couldn't move.
Just a sidebar.
Yeah.
Remember, how many pills Raven took and everything, but he would always have his prescribed, his prescriptions, right? Remember when Brian Christopher had his thing of pills?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? It was like, bro, Joe, there's no lie. He had a bottle, okay, and maybe about a medium-sized bottle, not like big, like if you're buying like 100 pills or whatever it is, right? One of those size bottles, bro. He had that thing filled with maybe multiple 20 different types of pills. Like there was all different colors and everything. I was like, what the fuck? What is the There's like so many pills in there. And you go like, what on earth is that shit? He was like, oh, these are like, cancer drugs. I'm just like, bro, like all things. Like one big giant.
Bro, have you ever seen like those old Flintstone chewables? Like they have different shapes and colors.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah, it looked like that. Just tons of them in there.
Did you
remember
the
time we were in England and he just stopped the bus in the middle of the fucking thing and he ran into a sex shop and he got a whole bunch of, remember those things called Poppers Rush?
Right,
he got a whole bunch of Rush and dildos and a whole bunch of freaky shit. He just brought it back to the to the bus and he was giving it out to the boys.
I remember that. I don't think it was, I think it was one of these deals where we had stopped to eat somewhere because I'm getting a visual picture of this. And it was like a street, and there was like a sex shop on the street. He was like, we're getting ready to go back. He was, wait a second. He went down to the thing. Not that we we're driving a bus and we stopped to go in the sex shop. Sounds like the visual picture. But I remember him going hey, let's go in here.
And he went in and he was wearing, I think I might have gone in there with him. He was wearing his gimmick. Remember, he had like a zebra outfit and he was wearing that. I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, so then Eric
remember what he did? He would always he had that walk he would do, his gimmick walk.
Yeah.
And he would be walking down the street he'd be whenever he wore his clothes, his outfit, we'd be after the show, right? And we're gonna go back to the hotel and shower, okay? He'd be in his gear, he wouldn't change his gear just getting than we did. He was so if the fans saw him, he would do his gimmick walk. If he was in his gear, even after the show, it's pretty funny.
He was hilarious and a lot of fun. I miss that guy a lot.
Yeah.
So I stepped a little.
There's only a handful of people in the business that liked him too.
Brian Christopher.
Isn't that weird? I thought he was hilarious.
Because he was very unlikable if you didn't know him. That's the problem. Because when I first met him, I said, "Hey, we have a mutual friend." He goes, "Who?" And I go, "Disco Inferno," and he just kept walking. And I was like, "What a dick." Yeah. But that was how he was,
But he liked to go. He liked to go clubbing.
Yeah.
So that's he liked. He liked the path we would take every night.
Well, he was great, bro. He was entertaining. He was great, bro.
If you think about it, he was probably on TV in Memphis from the time he was 17 or something.
Yeah, he was a natural
so he was
worker,
always
natural ham, natural charmer.
Right.
He was funny as fuck.
But I
very athletic too. Remember?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I stepped all over you with the story though. Did you want to finish what happened after Raven left the room?
Oh, so then he goes to me, all right, Konnan. So I hear you have a lot of how you have a lot of things to say. So he already had names in mind.
Yeah.
And he says, what was that thing that you said up in the ring? Because I had said something. I think I said this to Chronic or I said it to the Cowboys, which was at that time Bobby Duncombe and Barry Windham.
Yeah.
I said, you guys haven't had pussy since pussy had you, okay? And it got a pop. And he goes, I can't believe that you would say that. I go, bro, Rodman says fucking worse things than I do on the mic.
Sure.
He goes, well, he's an idiot, and I expect that from him, and I don't expect it from you. He goes, so I'm giving you the same offer. And I was like, well, if you're going to let Ray go, then I'll go. And he goes, no, I'm not letting Ray go, but if you stay, I am going to make life miserable for you. And after that, I remember I called Paul Lee with Raven. And Paul Lee was like, bro, I can't pay you that because I was making a lot of money. And I was like, bro, I'm willing to take half of that just to get the fuck out of here. He goes, I can't even pay you half. Then I called WWE, and Terry Taylor was working there at the time. And he was like, dude, you may never get that type of amount again. Just fucking eat it and stay there, get your money, and then get the fuck out, you know?
Yeah. Right.
But I was willing. Then that's one of those cases where you hear people say, well, take the money. Sometimes, bro, the misery isn't worth the money you're making, and you don't want to be there. So sometimes I do understand when people say, I'd rather take less money and be happy. Yeah. I also understand people that say, I don't give a fuck if I'm unhappy, pay me. You know, I understand both. But that was the story. And if I would have left, for sure, they would have gotten rid of all the Mexicans 1,000%.
Yeah.